Oh, people are freaking out about the Fantastic Four First Steps second weekend drop at the box office and how bad it was compared to Superman. But I'm here to correct the record and add some perspective. In case you don't know me, I'm Brandon Gray, the creator of Box Office Mojo, and I've been a box office analyst for decades now. And I'm trying to bring that old school box office mojo flair here to YouTube, so if you appreciate things like accuracy and integrity in movie and box office reporting, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Thank you. This will hopefully be a quick update based on the studio estimates, as I will do a follow-up video when the actual box office is tabulated on Monday. All right, the front-loaded the Fantastic Four First Steps fell 57% to an estimated $40 million, handily topping the box office again in its second weekend, opposite some modest newcomers, Bad Guys 2 and The Naked Gun. Now, everywhere else you look probably says it fell 66%, but they are all wrong. I've explained this before in previous videos, but we're talking about weekends here, and comparisons must be apples to apples for any chart to have integrity. So for its actual opening weekend, which is defined as Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Fantastic Four First Steps did $93.2 million, and this weekend's $40 million is a 57% drop from that. So why is everyone else saying it fell 66% aside from wanting to have clickbaity headlines and thumbnails? Well, they are using Fantastic Four's total gross as of its first Sunday as the basis. You see, though F4 had a $93.2 million opening weekend, its total through that first Sunday was $117.6 million. Because it had previews prior to that weekend, and $40 million is a 66% drop from that $117.6 million. But weekend gross and total gross are two separate things on the chart. Yet the media, the industry, YouTubers, they keep conflating the two. So of course, when you count preview grosses, the drop-off is going to look steeper than it actually was. And all the more so when the preview grosses were robust, as was the case with F4. If you have any further questions or thoughts on this, please post them in the comments section so we can elaborate and clarify more there. So again, Fantastic Four's true drop-off was 57%. And that means technically, First Steps had the best second weekend hold of any Fantastic Four movie. Now that's not saying much considering there have been only 3 theatrical F4s before this, and they all have been extremely front-loaded. So it is fitting to call First Steps and this franchise the front-loaded four. Now, in addition to the drop-off controversy, there's an unnoticed mini controversy about the studio estimates that I can fill you in on. So to claim a $40 million weekend, Disney had projected that the movie would only have a 17% Saturday to Sunday drop-off. Now, I've looked for a comp to justify this Sunday projection, but I haven't found it yet. For instance, on this same weekend last year, Disney's own Deadpool and Wolverine dipped 21% on Sunday. And that was a movie with far more momentum than Fantastic Four. Even Warner Brothers is projecting a 20% drop-off this weekend for its own Superman. Disney has been, shall we say, overly optimistic with their Sunday projections of late. So one could surmise that that Sunday projection here is about the optics more than anything else. Disney's weekend estimate is 40, so if Sunday was any lower, that weekend number would be less than 40. So it goes, get the word out now when there's peak press coverage of the box office that the movie was still in the 40 range to mitigate any negative headlines about the decline. Because rarely does the media go back and cover the actual box office. So when actuals are reported, and if F4 comes in at 40, then that would most likely be from Friday and Saturday getting magically revised upward. I think Disney should have projected at least a 20% drop for Sunday and called the weekend at 39.5. Be a little bit more like Warner Brothers, where you underpromise and overdeliver. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying a 57% drop is good, but at the same time, it's not as disastrous as the internet seems to think it is. My retort is, what did you expect? I mean, a Fantastic Four movie was only ever going to go so far. There's not much upside to a niche property like this, and niche or fan-driven movies burn through their demand quickly. Unless Marvel somehow found the perfect hook and execution, no amount of marketing could overcome the general audience's inherent disinterest in this property. So F4 was a long shot, though admittedly it would have been easier to pull off if this was pre-Endgame MCU. So to reiterate, you do not greenlight a Fantastic Four movie expecting it to do huge numbers or to even be on the high end of the MCU sub-franchises. And you certainly do not greenlight it to be the savior of an ailing brand. If the MCU were in a better place, Fantastic Four may have done better, sure. But as a Fantastic Four movie, it's doing fine. You could even say it's doing well. It's already the highest grossing of the franchise, and it's even likely to be the highest when you adjust for ticket price inflation. So when a movie performs about as well as could reasonably be expected, it's not a disaster. Oh my, I've droned on a bit longer than anticipated, so let's get back to the charts, shall we? As I mentioned before, First Steps had a bit smaller drop than Fantastic Four 2005, and adjusted for ticket price inflation, the two had roughly the same sized second weekends. First Steps also held a lot better than Captain America Brave New World and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. By the way, The Marvels still holds the record for the MCU's steepest second weekend drop, 74%. Fantastic Four, though, had a sharper decline than Thunderbolts, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, among the other most recent MCU movies. Now, for the showdown that was a bad look for Fantastic Four. First Step's second weekend versus Superman's second weekend. And it was no contest. The more broadly appealing movie, Superman, had the better hold, down 43%. Also of note, at the end of their first weekends, F4's total gross was 6% behind Superman's. Now, that deficit has grown to 16%, $198.4 million versus $236.2 million at the same point. Now, for this latest weekend, its fourth, Superman drew an estimated $13.9 million, which was down 44%, and it's just a skosh away from surpassing Jurassic World Rebirth here domestically. Worldwide, though, neither Superman nor Fantastic Four will catch Jurassic World Rebirth, which crossed the $750 million mark. In other words, the biggest MCU and DCU movies of the year were still no match for the worst performing Jurassic World movie. But Superman did pass $550 million, further showing that it's a lock for $600 million plus. And Fantastic Four entered the top 10 Hollywood movies, and it will soon eclipse its MCU brethren, Thunderbolts and Captain America Brave New World. Meanwhile, at $546 million, F1 the movie officially became Brad Pitt's highest-grossing movie worldwide ever, not adjusted for ticket price inflation, edging out World War Z's $540 million. And that's a wrap for now. We'll keep tracking the battle between the Fantastic Four and Superman here at Box Office Revival. So be sure to like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel, especially if you want to support objective reporting on the box office. This has been Brandon Gray, creator of Box Office Mojo. Thank you for watching.